What's up, guys? Jordan here. Today we are joined by Caitlin. Caitlin is a member of the Affluent Academy. She's the owner of Sleep Easy Media. She made over $5,500 within 30 days of joining the academy. And now she's scaling up her agency to ridiculous levels. She's doing such a good job. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining me today. Well, let's start off with your backstory. I always like to, as you probably know from watching these, I like to start off with a backstory. Let's give people some context as to who you are, where you've came from, and what actually brought you to wanting to launch a digital marketing agency?
Yeah, sure thing. So I come from like a marketing background. Ultimately, I'm from like a really poor working class background, actually. I was raised by a single mum and I've just been money hungry from a young age, right? So I'd done the traditional route of going through education, got myself into a ton of debt when I got to university, just as, you know, it's how you do it, isn't it, really? And then I become the president of my students' union. So I've always took like leadership roles. And then I went into marketing roles straight out of university. And now I'm a part-time master's student. I'm full-time employed as a marketing assistant. And obviously I've got my agency on the side, which is scaling up. So yeah, it's just exciting time. So it's kind of where I come from, and where I'm at now is, you know, I'm kind of like speaking to a lot of students from Affluent. I'm kind of in a lot of the groups, and you know, I try and give as much help as I can, and just be like that positive person for people to come and ask questions to. And ultimately that reflects in my sales calls, and you know, with my clients I've got great relationships. I don't work with anyone I don't want to work with, and kind of in this dream scenario where I'm leaving my job on the 15th of June and my master's finishes in September, and yeah, we'll be ready to go. We'll be ready to go right into it.
Love that. What are you studying?
Digital marketing.
Okay, cool. How much of an influence did going to uni and study digital marketing have on your agency? And also on top of that, like, do you think that it's really positively impacted what you've learned has really positively impacted your ability to build the agency?
You know, shockingly, no. I think it's a lot of outdated content. Like,
really?
You know, it's an online.
What do you learn? Sorry to interrupt. What kind of thing are you learning that's in digital marketing at university?
I think there's sometimes, you know, too much reading of academia and, you know, applying research papers to actual practice just sometimes isn't effective at all. Whereas, you know, with the online space and online courses, you learn how to implement things quickly and, you know, ultimately how to make money. But a lot of what universities focus on is, you know, read this book and try and apply some sort of it. It was written like 1997 in 2000, you know, 2021, and it just doesn't make sense to me at all. But yeah, when I cry at the fact of spending like $9.5K a year when you can buy a course online for a lot less and learn a lot more.
It's really weird, isn't it? It's like the whole education system is just missing out on, or the mainstream education system is just missing out on the main way that people learn and do things. And then there's got to be like a motive behind that, because it doesn't really make sense. Well, I mean, because I went to uni and I didn't finish my course, but I wanted to be an architect, and I was so frustrated by how theory based and I think studying historical architects and all of that's important. Studying historical marketing and advertising campaigns is great, right? But when it actually comes to the real world and you're designing a house for someone, or you're setting up a Facebook ad campaign, how much does it really matter about that in-depth study you've put on Microsoft from 1990? Do you know what I mean? So it's like the whole education system is just kind of missing a boat. Was it going into uni, were you motivated to get a job in marketing, or whilst you were there, did you then suddenly get the motivation to start a agency?
So I actually, I was always interested in marketing, and I got a job straight out for like a small video production company. And it was just like, I really hate being told what to do. I hate having to go through someone to book my holidays. I hate having to, you know, if I want to lie in one morning, I hate having to contact the person to do that. And then I went into a bit more of a corporate marketing job, and it just isn't for me, you know. So when I was kind of spitballing with my time, I was like, why don't I just go freelance? Let's get some projects on board. And then I think, you know, those clever AI tracking and seeing my Google searches, you know, people started to pop up in kind of my Facebook feed. And I started to see kind of this whole different world of like kind of the laptop lifestyle, right? And I was like, surely that's not achievable or attainable. But then I was actually reading case studies, and I like to do a lot of research before I jump into things. And ultimately, it is as simple as hitting your targets, staying consistent, and then ultimately you can you can have this beast of an agency that you can scale. Like it's really that simple.
It really is. You just need the keys. You need the vehicle, and like the agency is the vehicle. You just need to understand like the scripts, and you need to understand like sales strategy, which is a daunting thing, which I'd like to touch on. So you have come from university, you've gone in marketing, and you joined the student union. Did you say you were the president of the student union? So are you naturally an extroverted person, or would you say that you're quite introverted naturally?
I'm the more strategic, behind the screen kind of person that likes to get things done and only kick up a fuss when I need to.
So how did you find the sales side of things then?
Oh, an absolute nightmare at first. I remember my first ever sales call, I was literally shaking, and I was trying to sell a deal it wasn't even for Facebook ads at the end, it was for social media management, and I was kind of almost at the end begging the guy for £250 a month. I was like, what is going on here? I need to
give me your money, please.
I literally was like that, and now looking back, I've been through a ton of like online learning, and I've really polished my sales game in the fact that I like to think about sales as not as like something. It's not about selling. It's about building a relationship and providing that quality off the bat. I'm at the point now where it sounds bad, but I don't even care about onboarding the person. I just want that person to walk away knowing that I've tried to help their business in some sort of way. So I think once you take the sale out of the call, it becomes plain sailing. And when that £250 at the time, I needed it. Like I was desperate for it. But when I took the sale out of things, it just ended up things were a lot more smooth sailing.
100%. And I think that's the biggest realization that all of us have when we first start our agencies. Like I'd come from that hard sales background, so all I knew was hard selling. I can sell snow to a snowman, right? That's what my mentality was. And then, I always tell the story of when I went into my first meeting with a restaurant and I was just trying all those tactics. And the lady, Jane, who actually ended up being my first client, shout out to Jane if you're watching this, she was like, do you fancy a coffee? And it was like a way to interrupt what I was saying, right? And I could just tell that there was like this weird kind of aura. And so I took it right back into just like a very friendly, informal conversation about the company, about their struggles. And we just built a relationship based on that. And also joined with the fact that I was local, we could then talk about other stuff. And I could take it away from being this almost like snake oil, sleazy type sales character, even though I was selling something very legitimate. I wasn't oozing that horrible salesman mentality that people don't like. And I think that's a really important thing that you just highlighted, like building those relationships is something really important, and leading forward with value in all of your meetings as well, making sure that even if you come away and you don't sign that client, at least you've delivered some value to them and they can go away and have a really positive impression of you for the future.
Yeah, definitely. You don't know what's going to come from any situation. Like, and I read everything all the time. And like Russell Brunson's books, he literally says, put your best stuff out there. And that's literally what I do. I'm going to be like, this is what I'm going to do for your business. You can go away and do it on your own now. But there's someone here qualified because I've just gave you all this information. And 9 times out of 10, they come back and they want to work with you. They're excited to work with you. And I do 2 call closes. So basically what I do is I sit around in my first meeting, which I book as a strategy session, and I want to get to know about the person, the business, and ultimately find out if they're a right fit to work with me. Like, I don't want to be working with people that are just not my kind of people. So I take as much information as I can, and then I invite them back for a second call. Again, 9 times out of 10, they turn up for that second call, and then I present them what I've found, what they would need to work on, and I basically say, do you want this to happen yourself? Like, do you want to do this yourself, or do you want me to jump in with you and let's get this ball rolling? And people are so much more open to that because you're not speaking to them as someone you're trying to sell to. You're speaking to them as a business owner, and you really care and truly want to push their business.
Definitely, I think doing that really is a really valuable way to close people. We actually, that's why I never say it's like a black and white of like how you should do it. Like, you should always aim to try and close if you feel like that burning desire for that person to actually want to go ahead with what you're saying. If there is that in the palm of your hand, you should always try and go for it. But like literally a week ago, I recorded a close from start to finish. So I bought this product as like these little hydroponic herb kits, bought them from a shop, and I was like, I need to work with these guys. So I cold called the guy, and I recorded the cold call. I'm going to put it in the academy, actually. Recorded the cold call. Then I did a one stage call with him. So I did like a discovery call where I just found out more about the business. I didn't pitch him like too heavily. And then on the third call, I actually then closed him. So we were just building that relationship, because I think it's easier to go ahead and go in for a close with a company who already understand ads. But if you're speaking to people and pitching to people that don't already understand it, for you to then go heavy on like pitching them as well, it can be quite overwhelming for them when they're just learning about something that they didn't understand beforehand.
Yeah, I think I always say to them, like, you don't need to know the logistics. That's my job. Like, what I'm selling you here is revenue. It's more revenue. It's brand exposure. It's, you know, business building. And ultimately, like, if you could do it on your own, you'd be doing it. But let's take that pressure off. And like, I focus on Shopify stores. I was like, you can then focus on, you know, product fulfillment, you know, and it's really getting to know and understand your niche as well. That's so important. Like, I was pitching everyone, right? Roofers, dentists, you know, the people that are supposed to be easy to close, right? And then I was like, no, I'm going to go for the big fish, the things I'm comfortable with, like the Shopify stores that are well established, and just learning the lingo of the back of the Shopify store, becoming a Shopify partner. You know, these little badges and, you know, verifications are just like, they give you more confidence entering those meetings. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing in the sales meeting as well. You don't want to be sat there with someone that doesn't know anything about your kind of business at all. But as soon as you start using words like fulfillment, you know, it's such a little word to use, but they get it straight away. Like, and just explaining what you can do for them, it really changes the way that they interact with you.
They only care about the end result at the end of the day, and as long as you understand how their business works, and they will at least believe that you have the capacity to get them more revenue. It's like, how can any business owner trust anybody to get them more revenue or to run advertisement for them if they don't understand the ins and outs of how their business works? That's why I normally tell people to stay clear of e-commerce when they're first starting out. Was your first client an e-commerce business?
It was actually, yeah. It was a KO bakery business.
Okay.
A 6 times return on investment straight out. So there was a plan, and it was a relationship, right? She was from Canada, and we just ended up like best friends, literally texting every day. And it was so good to see her business grow so quickly, and she was so thankful. Then her mother-in-law jumped on because she has an online business, right? And then you just get the referrals that way. And it was just something at the time I didn't think too much about. And then it's kind of just it takes that outreach off your hands when you're getting these inbound referrals. People, you don't even have to sell, it's just a flows. It's just literally like,
it's scary how quick that happens as well, isn't it? It's like when you just all we need to do is get results, let people talk about you, and then the referrals start coming in, which is amazing. Can you talk us through how you got that first client then? So what was the process? So your first client was like an e-commerce store. What was like your outreach? How did that look?
Yeah, so I basically, and a lot of people think it's some magic formula, right? I was literally just going, I had no money at the time, so I had to do raw, I had to do everything manually. So I just jumped right in, and I was clicking through basically like Facebook pages, just looking at the drop down pages similar to this, and then just going through and just seeing who was running ads, who wasn't. I thought at the time it'd be easy to sell to someone that wasn't running ads, and it kind of wasn't a way, because I didn't have that experience. They didn't really have the expectation, and also they got their ad account blocked as well. So basically what I did, I was just working through Facebook pages, writing down, making like a rough spreadsheet of if they were running ads or not, and then following up every 2 days with just a quick message. But the way I started out, and the way I start out all my outreach is literally with a loom. And I usually focus on either some element of what they're missing or what they're currently doing wrong. Even if that's, you know, a tiny thing on their Facebook ads, and the loom's only like 30 seconds to 1 minute long. I just point out something little on their store or on their Facebook ad. It might be a spelling error, for example, and I just send that, and I say, I've noticed a couple more errors if you want to jump on a chat. And that way of outreach is just so much more organic and natural, instead of saying, you know, taking someone for a structured loom, which they've probably seen like a million times now because it's been taught like everywhere. Like, you can get a lot of information on YouTube. But actually just finding something unique about that store and addressing the business owner, just firing that off. She pretty much watched it straight away, right? Because it says there's a problem with your ads, or there's a problem with your store. So she watched it straight away because she wasn't running ads. And I was like, her problem basically was she's not making as much revenue, right? She's leaving money on the table. And she watched it. We got in touch, 2 call close, and it was so simple because I took everything away from it and I just explained with maths that you teach in Affluent. It's just so much easier, right? Like, I mean, I started off with a 15-minute agency booklet. Actually, I used the math from the 15-minute agency booklet. I was like, so if you, and I even write like her cost of goods and everything. It was just impressive because you go in there, well researched, and it's just so much easier to onboard them.
100%. I love that. That's cool. So you come from the 50-minute agency. So do you ever find, so a lot of people, so some people will be watching this and be like, okay, I've tried the Loom video thing. And there's a few things that you've said, which, I mean, for me, so why you've been really successful in it. Number one, your videos are like 30 seconds to a minute, whatever, right? That's a big issue people make. Like people say, oh, I'm doing Loom outreach, it's not working, even members of the academy. And I'll be like, okay, cool, send me over a couple of these Loom videos so I can like critique it. I click the link and it says 3 minutes 30. And even me, instantly, I'm like, I mean, I'm paid to look at this, but I'm like, oh, screw that. Like, why do I want to sit watching 3 minutes 30 of like you critiquing? So like, people don't want to sit there for that long and like this kind of Loom video. So was that something that you kind of found out after sending long ones, or did you know that before? I suppose it's just marketers' instinct, especially if you're like studying marketing as well. Like you don't want to be wasting someone's time.
Yeah, straight away A/B tested stuff, right? Like I was the key word is problem. There's a problem with X, right? Okay. And because obviously someone's going to think that's, you know, it might be a customer, it might be anything, so they'll be more likely to open up the video. And a quick kind of tip that happened, I don't even know when it happened, but Google actually updated their Gmail so that you can actually embed the Loom video into the Gmail, so you can actually see a screenshot of the video which shows their website, shows my face. So straight away people see it's not just like an automation, which everyone is doing. Like you can throw 500 emails in one list and just fire them off, but people are cracking onto it, right? Even if you include the town and the city and the company name, they just know. So just tiny little bits of personalization really go a long way. And I've seen straight away the open rate just shoot up. When we're doing these like 5 minutes, you haven't got a pixel installed, or you have got a pixel installed, and this is what you should be doing with that pixel. No one cares. They care about the revenue, right? They care about the end of it. That's what your job is. Your job is to know all that stuff. They don't necessarily want that. They just want to know how you're going to do that and how quickly you can get to that next goal that they're after.
100%. So I mean, you're sending over a really simple email and you're highlighting the problems. Do you ever find that people are actually getting offended? Because a lot of people, it's another thing. So some people watching this will be like, okay, they're going to email people now and they're just going to be like, your marketing is all wrong. And I think, and there's a very fine line, because as you'll know, for the academy, it's one of the things that I like to say to people is that they're leaving money on the table. But I address it in a very, very friendly way. And I also sandwich it normally with a compliment as well. But then some people will just be like, send a very email, because when it's text, it can be preconceived, like misconceived, because we don't have emojis on there. There's no emotion. So someone has to interpret it how they are. So do you ever find that people get offended by you doing that? Or do you push them with a compliment? Or how is that for you?
Yeah, I think, you have to learn tonality really quickly. Like, I have a really upbeat personality, even though I'm a massive introvert, right? I could hide behind the screen for hours and hours on end. But as soon as that camera switched on, I'm like, hey there, and absolutely love the website, blah, 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 compliment, especially this compliment. I have noticed a quick problem, however, here. It's easily fixable. Tell them how to fix it, and then that's it. Like you've complimented them, you've noted a problem, and then you've said how to fix that problem. And then ultimately what you're saying is, I've got a couple more problems. They're only little tiny things, but they really can switch that revenue boost that you're looking for. And I think as a business owner, if someone said that to me and they were just being honest and showing where I'm going wrong currently with my website, or anything that I was currently doing, it wouldn't put you on the back foot if you just kind of, it's your tonality and what you're coming across as, basically. And I've never really had I have had negative feedback from every single other outreach method I've used. I've never had negative feedback like that. So email automation that isn't personalized, cold calling, I've been abused on all those things. never in this approach.
Okay, cool. Well, so take from this, guys, just make sure if you're doing this Loom outreach and any outreach, like, you need to make sure it's short, it's prompt, and you also need to make sure that you're personal and you're upbeat and you're friendly, right? Okay, if you're going to critique someone, you need to make sure you're friendly when you do so. Okay, if you can kill them with kindness and you can say anything you want to, you be surprised at what you can get away with saying to people when you have a smile on your face. So do that for sure. Caitlin, so you were in debt before you launched the agency. You're at university as well, so you're going down this almost quite corporate route. How's your life changed now, and how does it feel to now? I mean, are you paying off the debt, or are you out of debt? How's that situation?
So this time last year, I was in double the amount of debt that I'm in now.
Nice.
We're looking at clearing that debt by July.
Nice.
And it's just been so draining personally, like that financial weight on your shoulder, and just knowing when you're clearing it, it's you that's clearing it. It's not you're going through a darker route of taking out another loan, because payday loans, the APR on them, they just absolutely kill you, right? So just getting all that out of the way, and I can't wait to have that all done so I can have even more of a clearer head and focus, and have that laser point focus of where I want to be. I mean, if someone said to me, you know, you're going to be on 30K a year, I would have laughed in my face. Like, this is, and I think this is society's problem now, is that they're telling these uni students who are graduates to just jump into 18K a year jobs and then work their way up the corporate ladder. It's like, what's going on? Like, you've just done 3, 4, 5 years of education.
And spent 40 grand to do it.
And it's atrocious. People should be aiming for more. And I say to everyone, you should have a business on the side anyway, no matter what it is, just so that you can have that, like, that bump, you know, you have that, and the confidence in yourself that you've built something that is just kind of, it can be like your side money in a way. Do you know what I mean? You just need like a little side hustle. And I truly believe in entrepreneurship, just because it builds that confidence and it gives you an extra bit of kind of pizzazz about you. And this system of jumping into a job and just 9 to 5 and then just living for the weekend isn't for me. Like, I want to be, you know, really out there. So yeah, once that debt's cleared, I'm going to be very much jumping into traveling when COVID allows, obviously. Just bought my dream dog. I've got a new French bulldog now, so it's all happening. I've got a nicer house, so I'm ready for that next step.
I love that. And do you know what? In a way, that debt's probably the best thing to ever happen to you, because I like, when I got in debt after uni, because I don't know if you know the story, but I started a side business, a nightclubs event business, that went tits up. I got kicked out of university, and then I was like living this false lifestyle based on an image that I thought I had to uphold. And I got myself in like multiple thousands of debt. But having that just forced me into this corner where like I had never been in without that. And it just forced me to like want for so much more. And I just learned so much in those months of getting out of that situation. So, I mean, I absolutely don't regret that at all. And I think a lot of people who find themselves in a place of success have had to be in a place of struggle to start off with, to actually to be able to get there. So, I mean, it's probably, in a way, in the future, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you, because it's pushed you to then want to be successful and start your own business. Do you find that? How are you publicly, like, are you quite public with your agency in university? Do you find that it rubs off on other students as well? Do you find that other people, like in like a master's or in degree launching agencies, or what kind of influence has it had on your circle?
I think a lot of people are saying I'm lucky in a sense, and it's like, it's not luck, it's hard work. And I think it's almost, it comes across as unachievable in a way. They think I'm boxed in my room for, like, you know, I have done like 16-hour days, don't get me wrong, but they think I'm just constantly like doing outreach and doing sales, and it's just not like that at all. And I think ultimately people can get scared of moving. I mean, I've had a total mindset shift from university, right? I don't drink anymore, for example. I read, like, I've got a morning routine that starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think your mindset is the biggest thing before starting these things. And I think a lot of people are still trapped in the mindset of either impressing their parents, trying to stick to what the academics are saying, almost having a career path, like cookie cutter, and saying, this is where you belong, you should stay on this road, don't veer off it, and you're going to end up in a 40, 50, 60K a year job. And it's just, I don't think, like, me personally, I've had like a massive rub off on all these students, but ultimately they should be looking to things like this, and I don't think the university promotes it enough.
This is the thing, like, if you've got like the sav to go to uni And I'm not saying if you choose not to go to uni, like you haven't got sad, because you definitely do. In fact, probably more so than majority of people that go to uni. But I think if you've got the motivation to go to uni, which it's like in itself, the actual uni part is not fun, right? It's not fun doing all this work. Like if you're not an educational type of person, like that's like, for me, I liked university as a thing, but I just go into lectures and all of that. It's just like put me to sleep. I don't want to be told. I want to have my own creative freedom. So it's, if you've got the ambition to do that, and you've got the motivation to do that, then surely you've got these ambitions to get somewhere in life. And so it's so frustrating when the one thing that's stopping somebody getting to that point or launching their own business is the fact that their mindset is just completely limiting them. I put a story up on that I actually saw Kevin Hart post this, but I stole it from him on the weekend. And Kevin, apologies, because I know you watch all my YouTube videos. The guy doesn't. But there are people less qualified than you doing things you want to do simply because they decide to believe in themselves, right? And it's so true. Like there is always going to be someone out there who's doing something that somebody else wants to be doing, and they are way less qualified, but they just believe in themselves, and so they go out there and do it. So like when you have people tell you, and I know your pain because I've heard it 1,000 times over, people tell you that you're lucky, right? It's simply because of their own limiting belief that they can't get there themselves, or because you're some kind of unicorn, or you've done something special, you're doing 24-hour days, and how the hell are you outsourcing all your uni work because there's no way you could juggle both things, right? So it's all these things that people tell themselves to make themselves feel better about the fact that they're not where you are. But if they stopped focusing their mental space on that and actually just started thinking about the fact, actually, maybe I could make this work for myself. Maybe I could just jump into this. Like, I can't even tell you how many thousands of people are going to watch this video. This very video right now, they'll watch this moment and they're going to hear me say, look, and they're going to look at you and they're going to be, oh, Caitlin got lucky, or Caitlin's got this degree, so that's why she's successful, right? They'll dismiss the fact that we've got 20 other interviews with people that don't have degrees. We have single mums. We've got people who are from third world countries. We've got people who have come from like the lowest levels of financial income. We've got people from all walks of life, and they will still listen to me say it's your mentality that will stop you being successful, and they'll still have some kind of excuse that they'll tell themselves as to why they're not going to launch the agency. And it's almost like, well, why are you watching this interview then? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you torturing yourself with this dangling carrot in front of you of success if you're not ever going to just like take the plunge and actually just do it? And I think that hearing you say, oh, they say I'm lucky, it kind of triggers that annoyance within me because I've heard it my entire life. Do you know what I mean?
I think I think you're spot on, right? There's sometimes a really unglamorous part. But I was watching the interview with a student the other day that you did, and she was saying, you do the graft at first so that you can reap the benefits in the end. And luckily enough, with the SMMA game, you're not sinking loads of money into it. You literally need nothing to start. You just need a good Wi-Fi connection. That's it. You're good to go. And I think, it can get more simpler than that. It's not like you're plunging into a world where you're trying to design a product or, a really difficult kind of service to sell. People need it. People want it. It's just, really niching down as quickly as you can. And I do recommend like playing around with a few niches at first to see what suits you. Yeah. And then going for it. But mindset is so important, and you can learn and you can educate yourself as much about this industry as you want, but without sitting down and reading or taking courses on specific mindset stuff, or even watching YouTube videos, you won't change those habits. You need to really look inside before you start being successful. Really, you can be on a lot less money than I'm currently on, and be happy in yourself if you've got that mindset right. You know what I mean? And if you want to keep pushing yourself towards a certain goal, you just need to keep reminding yourself of your why and why you're here and why you're doing this. Because if you're not doing that, it's going to be torturous for you. Like, to be honest, it was pretty much a breeze for me because of the pain of having debt, of having, like coming from a working class background. Like it was a breeze for me to do this because I'm a hard worker, I'm a grafter anyway. It was just for my own self gratification. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think mindset is key. Definitely.
You and I would never recommend people to do this normally, but I'm so grateful that you have, because it's helped you to get to where you are. Like you, for example, what you were just saying about you don't need anything to get started. It's so true. Like you can literally watch content on my YouTube, and you can take that information, you can go do that. Other people want everything all in one place. They want it done for you, right? They want scripts, they want lead generation done for them, they want accountability coaching, they want a community of other people who are on the same journey, right? So people like that, like yourself, you jumped into the Affluent Academy, which kind of takes what we got out on YouTube and times it by 100. But you in doing that, you took that plunge, but you put yourself in more debt, presumably, to actually do that. And I would never recommend people to do that. But in your instance, it paid off, and you made it over $5,500 within joining that course. What do you think was the pivotal thing that helped you do that from before? Did you have an agency beforehand? And if so, what was it that changed that to then mean that you can make so much revenue in such a short period of time?
I think the key thing with agency owners is you can stagnate really quickly and you can settle for second best. Like, I joined a course before you, and the guy's really great. He's still a mentor of mine. And like, he does weekly coaching calls, but something inside me was stagnated, and I needed to spend more money to ignite that key in you again. I don't know what it is. It's like when they say, I've heard the quote a million times, if you're not paying attention. And, you know, I got the credit card out, and I paid for the course, and I'd done it in like 4 days, and I was ready to go again. I signed up for the accountability coaching, and it was just like, let's get this. And 3 weeks of solid outreach, and I had nothing. I was like, oh no, this is you know, have a really hit a wall here. And then in my last week of the accountability coaching, so on week 4, it was just like 3 clients, bang, 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 and it was just so quick and it was so easy. And I was like, if only and it's not saying that everyone will get that success so quickly. And I think that's what it's kind of it's kind of the difficult thing about watching student interviews, because you kind of sometimes go, well, why have I not done this? Why am I not good enough to do that? Blah, 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 blah. But everyone's journey is different. And I watch like a lot of mindset stuff, right? So I don't know if you've heard Dean Graziosi. He wrote like Millionaire Success Habits. He says you've got to pay your success tax, right? You've got to go through so many more obstacles before you can feel like you're successful. And I get a lot of people messaging me asking, you know, what I did differently. And there's no difference. There's no magic. It's just grit and determination, and just knowing that your day will come, and it will keep coming if you keep up the outreach, you keep up the sales, you keep your business in the loop, you keep yourself educated. So yeah, I recommend just getting yourself, you know, on Facebook Blueprint, for example, free tool there to learn the basics of Facebook and know the platforms inside out that you're selling, because you're going to get those difficult questions. And yeah, just keep yourself in the loop totally, like all the time.
You're spot on. It's so important just to, it's not like, I mean, some people, for common folk reference to what we're talking about here, right? It's, look, how many people enter the lottery every single week, right? And their mentality is like, if I enter the lottery once a week for the rest of my life, then I'm going to win at some point. Like I'll win at some point, right? That isn't how success works, right? Success isn't like a lottery thing. Like, it's dead certain, right, if you actually are consistent. And the only thing that's going to stop it being dead certain is if you're just following something that actually isn't a genuine business model, or it's some kind of Ponzi scheme, or you're doing something that doesn't work. You're absolutely screwing up your outreach. But if you're following a system which is proven and it's been done by other people, and you can see that other people being successful, and you're just religiously following that, and you stick to your sales targets, it doesn't matter whether it takes you 1 week or you 1 year, and it doesn't matter how many people you compare yourself into a student interview. The worst thing you could do is compare yourself to other people. Learn from other people, learn from Caitlin, learn from everybody else that we have on this channel, find out things that you can use and you can tweak, or information that you can take from this. But don't compare yourself to Caitlin in the way that, oh, I need to do this in this amount of time. If I don't make $5,500 in 30 days, then I'm not successful, right? Because as you just said very rightly, everyone has their journey at their own pace, and everybody will have their time. And the only thing that will stop you getting to that place is if you stop being consistent and if you give up on it. You will be successful if you stick to your sales targets. You will be successful if you consistently do something every single day, which is going to get you to that, or get you just a tiny bit closer to where you're going to be. And yes, some people will get there way quicker than you will. Others will get there almost not to sign off. Others will get there way, way longer than you will get there as well. And I think there's no comfort comes from comparing yourself to other people at all. And I think it's just very important that you understand very quickly that you're on your own journey, and you will get there as long as you stay consistent to yourself.
Yeah, another thing is, as well as being an introvert, I felt constantly uncomfortable during this thing. That's the only time I ever knew my action was working, because I was out of my comfort zone and knew that something was coming, because there's only so much uncomfortable action you can take until something pays off or something happens. It's like another quote I was reading about as well. It was like, how can you not make money doing this? If you're doing something consistently every single day, something's got to give. Like someone is gonna sign that contract and jump on board with you and give you that opportunity. But yeah, it's just remaining consistent in who you are, staying educated and hitting those targets and goals that you set up for yourself, and digging really into that why and why you're doing this. Because if you've not got that why, I just think it's a completely different ball game. It's an uphill battle, definitely.
Guys, if you're watching this and you don't have a why, and I've got a link somewhere around this, I'll put a link. We had a video on how to find your why, and I talked about how I found mine. So if it helps you, then click that link. And just what you're talking about, fear. I've got to, and putting yourself out your comfort zone. There's a quote behind me that actually one of the students on the Affluent Academy sent me. They started an e-com business on the side. And it says fear equals growth. Fear is both an indicator and catalyst of growth. If you're not getting scared, you're not growing. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Stepping into the unfamiliar, taking that risk, and getting scared on a regular basis ensures you're growing. And it's so true. Like, you have to constantly be out of your comfort zone, because it just forces you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like, the first time I spoke in London, I made this active choice, and it was a mentorship day to the academy. I made this active choice not to prepare anything, and like, it goes against every kind of rule book that anybody writes about doing any kind of speaking thing. Like, I didn't want to prepare anything. I just had these very simple goalposts. And the first hour, it was a shambles, right? But then I started to get a hang of it, and I started to learn it, because I was in such an uncomfortable position where I was like, there are 30 people in this room that have already paid me £1,000 for this training program, and now they're sitting there looking at me like I'm the secret to them getting 6 figures, right? And so I'm like, okay, I really need to help these guys out, and it put me in this really uncomfortable position. And it ended up being such a valuable day for everybody, because I just shared everything that I had. And without being out of that comfort zone and putting myself in that position, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think that's very, very important. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that is one of the biggest things I learned very quickly. As I said earlier, like about my sales call with the guy that was basically begging for £250. I was like, I'm uncomfortable with charging more, because I didn't feel like I was worth more at the time. I had to get comfortable with charging more, so I had to make a big step in towards being uncomfortable and saying, the £1,000 retainer, two grand retainer. I just done a strategy session, which was a day of my time for £2,000. If someone told me I could charge that, a couple of years ago, I'd be like, what are you talking about? The same kind of thing, right? I walked in, I was prepared. I had like themes in my head, but I didn't have everything written down and structured, and it was so enjoyable, and you could bounce off. And I think the more natural and like kind of organic you are, people want to engage with you more, and they warm to you more, and they want to see you succeed. So yeah, I think fear is definitely something that you should welcome in a way. It's kind of a weird thing to say. I definitely need to get that behind me, by the way. I've got like a whole white wall here of nothing.
I need to sort all of my stuff out. I need to put everything up on the wall, and I've got all sorts of awards I need to do and stuff. I'm doing an office tour this week, so I need to get that sorted this week. You get a little setup for you for your Loom videos behind you.
Yeah, definitely.
Caitlin, thank you so much for doing this interview today. We've had a long one, actually. So guys, thank you for watching this. I hope you've got value from this. If people want to follow your journey, see how you get on with the agency, and also reach out if they want to as well. Like, what are the best platforms? And what I'll do is, if you just send me over some links after this, I'll put some links in the description as well, and then people can click on those too.
Yeah, so it's just Facebook, Instagram, and even my email, and I'll just send them over, and they'll just be in the description. So it's just Caitlin Mclaren on Facebook, and Caitlin_SMMA on Instagram.
Nice. Wicked. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And thank you, guys. If it's the first video I've ever watched of us, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Cheers.